Formula E races. Why they're so intense and aggressive. Formula E races are absolutely wild, and the drivers. They're incredibly aggressive. Just in one race this year, there were over 190 overtakes. We're talking huge lunges, serious wheel-to-wheel action, and lap-long battles. But what makes Formula E so special when it comes to overtaking, and why do the drivers push so hard? The cars, less power, more opportunities. Formula E is now in its third generation of cars. Each one packs around 470 horsepower, which is about half of what you get in an F1 car. But here's the catch: they have much less downforce and drag than an F1 car, which means they can still reach speeds of up to 200 miles per hour, all while running on treaded tires. For a street car, that's impressive. And speaking of street circuits, Formula E races exclusively on these challenging, temporary tracks that weave through city streets. There's very little runoff, the surfaces are bumpy, and the drivers are constantly fighting the car's balance. Just look at this onboard shot, it's raw, unfiltered driving. This is one reason why there's so much overtaking in Formula E. The challenges of the circuits push drivers to take risks and go for moves they might not attempt elsewhere. Tough circuit layouts and bumps. Another thing that sets Formula E apart is the layout of its circuits. These aren't your typical, purpose-built tracks, they're temporary street circuits within host cities. And that means things like bumps, camber, and white lines are all part of the track. These aren't something most race circuits deal with, so drivers need to learn not just the layout, but also the quirks of the surface, like where the bumps are and how the track changes. In fact, it's on these circuits that a simple mistake can have a massive impact. Take this clip from the Rome race. Mitch Evans, running in third, gets caught offline, hits a bump, locks up, and ends up taking himself and a championship rival out of the race. Little runoff equals more risk. Formula E tracks also have very little runoff. It makes for an exciting spectacle, but it also means more risk for the drivers. In F1, with all that wide open space, a driver can afford to push hard and go a little wide, knowing they can easily rejoin the race. But in Formula E, if you make a mistake, you can cost yourself a lot more time, or worse, crash out entirely. This risk factor forces drivers to be more careful in some moments, but also more aggressive when it counts. No pit data, more uncertainty, more drama. Here's something interesting: in Formula E, there's no car-to-pit telemetry. In F1, teams collect millions of data points per second, allowing them to predict tire wear, fuel levels, and race strategy with remarkable precision. Formula E, on the other hand, bans all that data, so drivers have to rely on their own judgment, intuition, and strategy, making the racing much more unpredictable and exciting for us viewers. A surprising thing about Formula E, the drivers and teams don't know exactly how much energy is left in the batteries until they see it on the TV monitors. Engineers have to watch live data feeds to understand energy usage. That means the drivers often have to adjust their strategies on the fly, making for dramatic, unpredictable races. The strategy of energy management. One of the most fascinating aspects of Formula E racing is energy management. I witnessed this firsthand at the Berlin race, where energy saving became a crucial part of the strategy. The first part of the race felt more like a bicycle race than a traditional motorsport event. Drivers would bunch up in a peloton to avoid leading and burning more energy. The sweet spot was around 4th to 8th place, where drivers could save energy before launching a final attack toward the end of the race. With drivers operating on different energy levels, it makes for a much more dynamic race, where those on lower energy can use their boost to quickly overtake others, leading to some very aggressive and exciting overtakes. Attack mode, a unique twist. Another element that adds intensity to the racing is attack mode. Unlike F1's pit stops, Formula E drivers can activate a boost mode, which increases their power by 70 horsepower. But there's a catch: to activate attack mode, drivers have to leave the racing line, losing valuable time. When they rejoin the pack, they're often fighting through traffic to get back to the front. This leads to drivers making aggressive moves to regain their positions. It's a game changer for racing strategy and creates some fascinating moments. Formula E's robust, close racing. In terms of actual racing, Formula E is far more robust than F1. It's kind of like the British Touring Car Championship of single-seaters, and here's why: Formula E cars generate less downforce than F1 cars, meaning they can follow each other more closely. Plus, when parts like the front wing get damaged, the impact on performance is much less, so drivers don't panic over a bit of contact. In fact, as I saw in Rome when Norman hit Jake Dennis's front wing, drivers can still push hard even with minor damage, which keeps the racing tight and aggressive. Braking zones, a key for overtaking. Formula E cars also have longer braking zones than their F1 counterparts, giving drivers more opportunities to make successful overtakes. Combine that with narrow, bumpy circuits where mistakes are easy to make, and you've got a perfect storm for drama. Throw in the different strategies for energy use, attack mode, and race dynamics, and you've got a recipe for drivers to be far more aggressive. So, why are Formula E drivers so aggressive? Because the cars, the tracks, and the rules all create an environment that rewards risk-taking. Whether it's attacking in braking zones, managing energy strategically, or dealing with unpredictable circuits, Formula E racing is as intense as it gets, and the drivers take full advantage of every opportunity. Subscribe for more interesting information. See you on next video.